going in with a bunch of crazed dogs.
My camera. How about them Giants? How about them Giants? How about them Giants?
Woo! What's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of Giants Rush. I got the light off. Looks a little dark in here. So I'm going to fix that in a couple of minutes because I know you want to see my face when I tell you that I am ready for Giants football. Spartan Mike has told me it's not on his mind. He's thinking about, the beach and sipping cold cocktails, and I get it all. Baseball, is maybe on the forefront. I don't know, but I'm getting a little excited because I feel like there's something here that's kind of popping. Something's kind of brewing, right? What is that? We're kind of like heading the right direction. We don't have injured Saquon. We don't have Jones. We don't have Kadarius Toney. We don't have a no pass rush. We got all good things coming up. So I'm a little excited for what's about to come. Camp's on the way. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to play Who is Better. And I think we'll have a little blast with that. So welcome to Giants Rush. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's the podcast you love to hate. We are here 52 weeks of the year. And as always, this never changes.
It's good to be the king.
What can I say? It's good to be the king. I got Nails here. Chris and his 20-inch biceps are here. I got Spartan here. We're gonna get these guys in here. Sean has the night off. Truth and Alex have the night off. They're beach bound. They're out there chasing chicks, drinking beers, surfing, doing all that crazy stuff that they do. Well, let's bring in the guys because I'm sure they're fired up because they haven't been on in a little while. So let's just start off with this guy.
This is Sparta.
Craig. What's going on, brother?
Dude, you growing a little beard and a little stash there. Like we're starting to look like twins. Look at us.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to mold into it. And the great thing is the Giants have aged me so much in the last few years that we're the same age now, Craig.
Somehow, I don't know if there's if a backhanded compliment's in there somewhere. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take it because you're literally like, I could be your dad. So I'm going to take it.
Exactly. We started off in 2021. You could be my dad. And now we could be twins.
Now
the whole stress of it all, Craig.
Now we are equals, my friends.
That's right.
Everything comes full circle in this life, my friends. I see you guys piling in the room. What's up, Shin? Spartan Mike is reposting this stream as he should because we want to grow our market like we always talk about. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. What do you got against doing that? Just bang, hit the button, hit it, and it just lets you know when, us and me and the team, I should say would be better grammar. Me and the team are banging out new content. We're sending it your way. So just subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're already subscribing, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that we are legit here every Monday for 50 weeks. 50 weeks. We're here when you don't even want to talk Giants football. We're still here. Let's bring in Nails. He's raring to go because him, he likes all this roster movement and the camp stuff, and he can't get enough of that. So, we got to bring in Chris.
So Coach Steve Austin, he is the man. Well, the captain toughen up is over here, giving himself a beer bath.
Bolt, there he is.
Hey. Hello, Spartan and Craig. How are you guys?
We are back, man. It's been a minute.
We are back. Fellas, two weeks away. We are 2 weeks away from training camp almost. Tomorrow, 2 weeks.
So, here's the thing.
For showing up.
Do you like – I know you do, Chris, because you're a junkie for it. Spartan, do you like the whole camp thing? Like, do you get excited? Like, I like going to camp a little bit once in a while. Like, me and Chris went last year. Like, I like going to camp, but I will say there's so many camp bodies. I can't make heads or tails out of half these guys.
Okay, so doing this now for as long as I have with Rush, I think the only thing that I get tired of is when somebody gets overhyped. Like I swear that has backfired almost every time. Some no name is all of a sudden making a name for himself, and I'm like, oh, all right, this guy is building like some momentum. This is great to hear, and then like after that, just absolutely nothing. So hoping I don't see too much of that this year. Or if somebody is making a name for themselves at camp, like it actually holds true, that'd be really cool. But I'll say this, for a fan experience, camp is an awesome thing to go to. I went a few years ago, and it was terrific. I drove up from the Jersey Shore that day. I wasn't with either of you guys, but, it's a great fan experience. You get to watch them hit the pads. It's a lot of fun. And that was right before the 2022 season when they made the playoffs. So, yeah, I recommend that 9 times out of 10.
Interesting, because I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's days where I'm like, I can't stand it, and then days where I'm excited about stuff. Like, you hear this noise come April, and you're all excited, right? And then you get that lull, right after the draft. You're like,
it becomes a lull. Yeah,
nothing to look forward to. The draft's over, and Chris is just like.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, guys? You look for those Elijah Chapmans, these guys that come out of nowhere that you don't expect undrafted. I mean, that's what these camp stories are great. That's why they're great, is because of these guys that fly under the radar, that make a name and make the team. I will say by that third week, you're ready to get rolling, and you've just about had enough. But I like the roster movement with the other teams, because there are teams that have some salary cuts, cap casualties at that point in camp, and some guys they don't want to get rid of, they do, because they're top heavy at a position. So I like all the roster movement. I think that's interesting to me.
All right, I'm cool in the gang with that. I mean, that's fine. Like, I will say that the joint practices I like, because it's a guaranteed fight or two.
Yeah.
Those are like this, like something that's almost like a soap opera where it's scripted, right? You're like, okay, this guard is gonna fight that guard. That defensive back is going to fight that wide receiver. Let's make it entertaining. Break. And, off we go. So,
and Craig, to your point, real quick, I mean, that is the only time during training camp that you really get unlike a preseason game, where you're getting ones versus ones on the offense and defensive line. Number one DB against the number one receiver is in these joint practices, because the preseason, you don't see it in an actual game. So I think that's going to be great, having back-to-back joint practices, Jet Giants. There's definitely going to be a couple, fights, but you're going to see the best guys against the best guys, which you don't catch in a preseason game.
And when we were at camp, this is what happened last time we were at.
Tune in to Giants Rush every Monday, baby. Rush every Monday, baby. Rush every Monday, baby.
That's what happened last time we were at camp. Nacho was talking us up. And I couldn't get him on for an interview, but he was like, wait, you guys are on Monday? I love those guys. And then, he was talking about Rush. So listen, you go to camp, that's the kind of stuff you get, right? But guys, I'm glad you showed up, because I was in LBI last week, but I still did the show with Sean, which, by the way, I don't see Sean here in the comments. A little bit disappointed. Don't see Sean in there. I'm going to text him right now and ask him where he is. Because he's not in the comments. Let's see. Where are you guys? I don't see you in the comments. Yep. See, so I already gave him some shit. Gentlemen, today you are lucky that you are here with me, because we're going to play a game. You like games?
Love them.
Like games.
I do like games. I like games because people start getting super competitive when you play games. And I love when people get pissed off and then they're like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. So we're going to play a game called, and I put it up here because we don't have Zach, running there, the back end. So here it is. Boom. Who is better? So simple game, gentlemen. I'm going to give you 2 players, and you're going to tell me who's better. I'm going to give you the same 2 guys. You each get 30 seconds to a minute to tell me who's better and why. I don't care about longevity. It could be A guy that played 9 years versus a guy that played. Who is a better Giant? Who's a better player? Who I don't care about eras. I just want to know who, when they were on the field, who was the better player. Okay? Because some of these are going to be subjective to like, well, that guy played 9 years and this guy only played 3. Don't care. You want to look in your mind, just take the best year that guy played versus the best year that guy played. Okay? Is this guy better than that guy? That's
It's
it.
the best year they played versus the best year the other guy.
In your mind, you were building a team, and I'm giving you 2 guys. You got to choose the guy who was best, right? Who was the best player? So right away, you go to who had the the best season, and you're like, okay, this guy versus that guy. You could use their whole career if you want to justify it. I just want to know who's better, because you know what? At the end of the day, there's always somebody that's better than the other guy. The top of the food chain for the New York Giants is Lawrence Taylor, so we're not even putting him in the game. So now, if I had a little sound, which I might, I'm going to see what's in here that Zach had loaded up. You know, I don't see anything cool like a drum roll. I do have a.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, I got this. I got money.
It's good. That works.
All right. And then I got this. Like a slot machine.
So I'm getting a change of $1. Getting 4 quarters
Exactly.
at the arcade.
Yeah. Or we just go to Dr. Dre.
There we go.
Great.
All right. So thanks for hanging out with us. I don't see a lot of people in the comments today, which is really weird. You guys are all hanging back, but there's 84 of you that have dropped in and already looked at what we're doing. We're going to play. This is NY Giants Rush. Check the website out. By the way, we do have Year 3 fantasy football coming up. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Spartan Mike runs that, and we give out some cool stuff. Gentlemen, we're going to play Who is Better, starting off at the top of the food chain, right out the gate. I'm coming at you hard with Chris. Who's better, Justin Tuck or Leonard Marshall?
Man, Justin Tucker, that is really tough. Wow.
That's why.
Justin Tuck or Leonard Marshall. Well, I'm going to have to go. Man, this is close. So I'm going to go with Leonard Marshall. I mean, Leonard Marshall, with tackles, I want to say he had a lot of tackles for loss and just was underappreciated. I don't say underappreciated, but he was overshadowed by a lot of players during his time in the 80s. And Justin Tuck, although a great player, Leonard Marshall could be borderline Hall of Fame. Borderline Hall of Fame, where Justin Tuck, I don't know if we ever thought of Justin Tuck as a Hall of Fame player, although very good. I'm going to have to go with Leonard Marshall with his career. I'm going to go with Leonard Marshall.
You know what? I'm not going to go into it, but I agree with that. I mean, the guy is like top 5 sacks all time. Guy just punished. I mean, with a capital P, punished quarterbacks. But my opinion doesn't mean shit. Let's kick it over to Spartan Mike. Spartan Mike.
I'm going to have to go with Leonard Marshall, too. I mean, you look at his entire career with the Giants, his legacy with the Giants. I mean, those defenses were so special that he actually gets buried a little bit in terms of like the memories. But give you one person who doesn't forget him, it's Joe Montana, because he almost ended his career right there. But
True.
Leonard Marshall, friend of the show, I'm not giving him an advantage that way. It's funny, though, with these two players. You know, we're talking about two dudes that are kind of at that same cusp. I mean, almost at the cusp of Hall of Fame. Leonard Marshall should certainly be in it, but I just think overall, over the course of his 10 seasons with the Giants, he left a little bit of a bigger legacy than Justin Tuck did with the Giants. But, you know, that's not to say that Justin Tuck was not good at all. It's just we're comparing two legendary Giants players, but I'm going to have to give Leonard Marshall that nod just because of, you know, I bet you a lineman would rather have to block Justin Tuck than Leonard Marshall.
You know what's too? It's interesting because I just feel like Tuck was so consistent, right? Just consistently shut the run down.
Yeah.
Came up, you know, and made big plays. But Leonard Marshall, like if you put Leonard Marshall on a non-Lawrence Taylor team, he's the best player on the team. You know what I mean? Like if I put Leonard Marshall on Detroit, he's the best player on the team. If I put him on, you know, the Cowboys, maybe Reggie White would be the only other guy in that era, right? So, you know, he's just yeah, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly.
Yeah, you'd have to take away LT, Carl Banks, Harry Carson. You'd have to take away about 3 or 4 guys for Marshall to be probably the best guy. on the Giants defense without those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shows you how good he was, right?
I'm marking that off as W because that's all three of us. That's a win. All right. This one's going to throw you for a loop. This one's going to come at you just as hard and fast and bang. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're here every Monday at 7:30. We are now playing Who is Better. Spartan Mike, who's better? Malik Neighbors or Odell Beckham Jr.?
Malik Neighbors, you heard it here first. At the end of it, he's going to have a better career with the Giants than Odell Beckham had. All right. That said, I can't overlook Odell's first couple seasons with the Giants and say that the one season of Malik Neighbors was better than that. And emphasis on abilities overall. I mean, early Odell was just something special and will always be remembered in NFL history despite a short time here. I'm going to have to choose Odell for now, but I really hope Neighbors makes me change my mind in a few years here.
Interesting take. I said to Chris earlier, I'm like, when OBJ stepped on the field after game 4 because he had a hamstring issue, he just lit it on fire. He was like immediately like a top receiver in the NFL from the minute he stepped on the field.
Right.
He was making dynamic, crazy plays. Neighbors is, really, really good.
Neighbors is probably top, like he probably hit that borderline top 10 level as it is rookie year 2. That's no joke, but Odell's was just different.
That's it. That's perfectly said. Odell was just different. Chris, OBJ, your Neighbors.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike as well. I mean, OBJ, 12 game set records his first year, but just how he burst onto the scene and just was so explosive right out of the gates. Neighbors may have the longer career with the Giants because he may get that. He's hopefully gets that second contract where Odell, obviously was traded. But I think just as a pure, electrifying athlete that just came onto the scene out of nowhere, although he was a 10th pick, I don't think anybody expected him to be what he was right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
It was electrifying. It was just electrifying, taking those slants and just outrunning everybody. It was just
and remember,
special.
Chris,
those were teams that didn't score points. Those giant Eli teams were past the Super Bowl at that point. They were now beginning to have a hard time scoring points. OBJ, just like that Ravens game, really carried those teams to score. Maybe they scored 2 touchdowns and a couple field goals to win games, and it really was on the back of OBJ in a lot of those games.
I also want you to remember back early on, first 3 years, they were throwing deep to Odell. He didn't start catching those slants until they started, struggling scoring points, and they had to look for other ways. He was a deep threat right out the gate.
Yep. As soon as Chris Snee retired, Sean Harrow was gone. Those guys, McKenzie, it all changed on that offensive line. And Eli didn't have the time. He basically had to get rid of the ball pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's when that whole West Coast thing started.
Well, this is easy so far because everybody's in agreements. There's no fighting and there's no bloodshed. So I'm not sure what's happening right now. So we got to
to Mark's point, you're right, Mark. 2015, they scored a hell of a lot of points. 2016 is kind of where that really dropped off.
2016.
Yeah, that's really when it dropped off.
Yeah.
2015, they went nuts.
Playoffs.
You're right. No defense. We remember that Saints game. That was absolutely insane. 2015.
All right, I'm throwing you a bone here. This one's probably pretty easy, or maybe it won't be, but it's not overly sexy. Okay, the first two were pretty sexy. So, Chris, who was better, Prince Amakamura or Adoree Jackson?
Wow, I'm going to go with Prince Amukamara. Although he was a first-round pick, he was steady, a very steady player, and I think Adoree bounced around, the league a little bit. Adoree was good with the Giants, but I think Prince Amukamara, he was just more of a solid, consistent player with the Giants over the time he was here.
I agree with that. How about you, Spartan? Prince Amakamura or Adoree Jackson?
The reason being is Adoree Jackson had an okay time here, but it wasn't anything too special. I'm going to pick Amukamara for a couple reasons here. I agree with you, Chris. It was steady enough to put him in that category. Obviously, didn't reach the pinnacle or the peak that we kind of hoped he would, but that a lot of it had to do with the injury that he suffered an injury like in that first year, and it threw him off.
Right.
But he did make Pro Bowls later in his career with the Bears, and it was one of those situations where you say to yourself, "Well, gee, you wish the Giants never got rid of him in the first place." But I know Reese was kind of known for doing that. So I'm going to go with Amukamara on this one.
And if my memory serves me correct, I believe Amukamara had like a broken foot or a fracture during training camp his first year. And then he came back like 9 weeks later and had an interception his first game, a big interception downfield. So I think the knack for the ball, Amukamara had even a better knack for the ball than Jackson.
Agreed.
Like to give a shout out to Mark B and Mark Thompson, who's in the house. Mark says he's going with Adoree Jackson. Hey, if you're just tuning in now, we're playing Who's Better. And we're just basically looking at, 1 year for some, maybe you take a whole career, but I just want to, and I'll throw it back up here. It's just simple. It's real easy. Just who's better. I just need to know who's better, who's a better player. Because there's some players that you just love, but then there's some players that are just better. And it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now we started to Tuck versus Leonard Marshall. That was a landslide win for Leonard. We went OBJ versus Neighbors, landslide for OBJ. Threw a little bit of a wrinkle in there, Prince Amukamara versus Jackson. Chris and I are taking Prince. Spartan, you took Prince too. That was another landslide win, 3 in a row. It was Mr. Thompson who jumped in with Adoree Jackson. All right, this one's gonna be. This one could just upset the apple cart here. I might have to block somebody. I don't know because this better go the way I think it's gonna go. I'm going to start with you, Spartan. Victor Cruz versus Wan'Dale Robinson.
I'm going to go with Victor Cruz on this one, and I hope that would be pretty anonymous. The reason being is because, and this is why, look, Giants fans are blessed in this fashion. We didn't just have one decade where we won 4 Super Bowls. We didn't just have 2 separate eras like the Cowboys to win all the Super Bowls. No, we actually spread it out pretty evenly. And virtually all of our great players, except for a few like Tiki and obviously, anybody recent, walked away with the Super Bowl ring. So they leave behind lots of good memories for us, but also a legacy that they were a championship winning player with us. And that makes it even more special. Victor Cruz's rise in 2011 was unbelievable. Undrafted out of UMass. The year before in that preseason game, 3 touchdowns. We're all super excited. Then he gets hurt. Misses 2010. We don't know what to expect for 2011, but he bursts onto the scene, and we knew we were getting something special. And really, for the next 5 years with Victor Cruz, we had a phenomenal wide receiver, but, he was unbelievable with what he was able to deliver, and also just super fun for the fans. Like Mara, you just know he's the kind of guy that Mara loves. Fan favorite, the salsa dances in the end zone. Everybody loved Victor Cruz, and without question, he's better than Wan'Dale Robinson. It's just that, yeah.
I love it, Chris. You know why I go with it for Cruz, based on one thing. Mm-hmm. He won games. Yeah. He literally helped you win games by himself. Mm-hmm. We're playing the Jets and we're ready to tank it, and he goes 99 yards on a screenplay, and you're like, what the heck? Against Seattle, he's bobbling the ball down the sidelines to himself, playing bobble. Like Victor Cruz.
How about his first one, Eagles, right? The first touchdown he scored against the Eagles on the road.
Which at the time was a big upset.
90 yards. That went 70 yards, right? But
to me, I was going to go Sterling Shepard, but him and Cruz played together, so I think I stayed away from that one. Mm-hmm. I don't like Wan'Dale has turned into a nice player, but he's nowhere even in the category what Victor Cruz can deliver to you. He just had a knack for finding the soft space and sitting down and then making a guy miss, going to the house, and then freaking dancing in the end zone and making everybody go freaking nuts. So, yeah, I'm with you guys, man. Cruz was a ton of fun. That's
you didn't ask me, Craig. You didn't actually ask me.
What the hell? Victor Cruz or Wan'Dale?
Let me just go on my little soapbox. Wan'Dale, great route runner, but Cruz, he's very Derek Jeter-esque. Big plays, big time games, he shows up. Deceptive speed, right? The breakaway speed that was very deceptive. You look at that 2011 game against the Cowboys when he took that little out and then took it right up the field and outran everybody. Very deceptive. Just consistent, just a consistent player.
Great point. And if you are new here, that's Chris, that's Spartan Mike. We're playing a little game. It's the off season. We're playing who is better. So who is better basically is breakdown. Like, you can use a single season, you could use a career. I don't care. I just want to know who's the better player. Who is just flat out the better player. So right now we're in lock and I thought there might be a couple rifts in there, but there's not. We're lock and step right now.
And Greg, if I could add one more thing, because it's
Yes,
so
please.
long ago. In 2011, the week before against the Jets, obviously he takes it 90 yards. That was a game where it was tough to score touchdowns, and he broke that open back against the wall. But then the week later, to win the division, and they needed to get into the playoffs, was the Cowboy game, which was huge. He takes that out, and like I mentioned, he went whatever it was, 60 yards, down the sideline, outrunning everybody. So 2 big games in a row where he exploded.
100%. Super exciting. As Spartan alluded to, cast off, got kicked out of UMass and had to go back. Gets to the Giants and they stuff him on the practice squad, right? And, and the only thing I can remember is Rex Ryan being like, holy cow, who's number 3?
Right. If they cut him, we're getting him.
Yeah, because he just lit it up in preseason. So it was a lot of fun. We're all lock and step on that. Saw something here. It says, Jeff stumbled across this podcast. I don't know what I'll see means, but I think he's going to say, I'll see if we suck or not. We don't suck, Jeff. And thanks for hanging out with us. All right. We love it. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the Rush family. We're here every single Monday at 7:30. You're more than welcome to pull a bar stool up and have a beer with us because we are here 50 of 52 weeks of the year. So, and yes, he comes with a strong point is Wandale does get the job done, but he doesn't win games. So it makes him look kind of average. All right, here's one for the ages because I think this one will definitely maybe make this a little bit difficult. I'm trying to make them more difficult as we go. This is more maybe fan favorite, depending how old you are. I'm going to throw this right to you, Spartan. It's JPP since he's in the news versus one OC Umenyiora.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard. I mean, OC had the 2 Super Bowls with us. JPP has 2 Super Bowls. One of them isn't with us, but he still had a pretty steady career. But his rookie year, he really exploded onto the scenes. I'm going to have to go with OC. Just the overall career, I think, was a little bit better. And he did have a lot of incredible abilities, causing the forced fumbles in 2010. I'm going to go with OC.
Okay, that was easy. That wasn't too painful. How about you, Chris? OC Umenyiora versus JPP.
I'm gonna echo exactly what Spartan said. I just over the course of the career, I think OC's the better player. That patented slap that ball away, which we saw against Trent Dilfer and the Niners, and how he does, he did that so many times, and he had the wherewithal to pick those balls up and run for touchdowns. But I think over consistency, I'm gonna go with OC. Tough call, but go with OC over being consistent.
And it is a tough call because here's the thing, Chris. You folks out there that maybe aren't familiar with JPP or maybe you've glossed over his career, he had 1 year that was of the ages. I mean, he had like 80 tackles and 16 and a half sacks. He was like unstoppable. So if you're using one season to compare him, like OC never had a season like that because he wasn't a big run stopper. However, the body of work is, man, like OC may have sucked against the run, but that cat would get you a sack or a quarterback hit or a forced fumble if you really need it. Back against the wall, that dude was gonna so if you guys are football junkies, they got something called the wide 9. Okay. OC Umenyiora was running the wide 9 before they even had it. He was so far out on the line of scrimmage, down the line of scrimmage, you'd be like, that dude's out of the play. What is number 72 doing? He's 10 yards outside the tackle, and he was so fast that sucker would be up on the quarterback doing that slap hit or that tomahawk chop, making quarterbacks fumble. See, I disagree there, Mark, that it's because on the JPP thing, because he had more power, he had more size. Yeah, he can handle tackles. I think OC just blew by him with pure speed.
And I think what hurt JPP is when they switched defensive coordinators. If you remember, they didn't have him with his hand in the dirt as much. They had him standing up more. Yep. And I think that wasn't his game.
Chris, what hurt JPP was blowing off half.
Yeah, well, that too, of course. That was a big.
He still had a great year with the Buccaneers, though, in 2020 when he won the Super Bowl again.
Right.
Yeah, and Jeff, we're gonna get to the JPP smoke. If you look at the scroll down the bottom, the ticker. It's those are like some of the show notes. So we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
So we're still
that
putting
was
in
one of
who's
those
better.
injuries where you just say, "Come on, Giants, man! Why is it always us that with the stupidest, craziest stories?"
Oh, yes. And yes, Mark, you're right. He would definitely get you play when you needed to, right? So my bad on that. All right, let's keep moving. I agree. So far, we're locking step. I thought we'd have a little bit more rumble in here, but so far, and if you look on the screen, guys, I can now put the comments of everybody on the screen, the lower corner there. I can put everybody's comments on the screen, so it's pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. JPP one season without a doubt. Longevity OC because he just was very consistent every single year. This one's a little bit wonky because I don't know how many people are going to have opinions on this, but Chris, Kenny Phillips, great safety, career got cut short because of all the knee injuries versus Landon Collins, who came in gangbusters and had 2 good years and then, kind of faded and they moved him to an inbox safety and then he left free agency, which he probably shouldn't have. So Kenny Phillips, Landon Collins.
Because of the knee injury with Kenny Phillips, I'm going to go Landon Collins just for that reason. Because I think over the course of the career, Kenny Phillips may have had a better career than Landon Collins, who seemed to kind of diminish a bit when he went to Washington with that big contract. But I'm going to go with Landon Collins.
And let's not forget, Chris, he was like a couple votes away for Defensive Player of the Year.
In 2016. Hell of a year.
I mean, he was out of control. And I think the issue with that is they were worried about him covering, so they made him a box safety. And I think that kind of changed his game, a little bit.
Yeah.
How about you, Spartan? I mean, Kenny Phillips a little bit. You're probably pretty young for Kenny, but
No, I watched Kenny. I'm going to go with Landon Collins just because his peak was better than Kenny Phillips. Like Kenny Phillips was a little bit of a bust in terms of he was still a good player, but obviously the injuries held him back. But he never really had that all-pro level season that Landon Collins actually did early on. And it was exciting when Landon Collins came back and had that pick 6 against the Colts, right? But, unfortunately, look, the Giants did dodge a bullet with the Landon Collins contract when he went to Washington. They got out of paying an absurd amount of money for what would have been a disastrous contract. The Washington Commanders took that in, but Landon Collins was an exciting player and a staple of the team for a few years there when we sucked. So I'm going to go with him.
I like it. 100%. I'm with Collins too. Man, this is getting easy. There's no duking at all. So let's bring out the two most polarizing.
You should have had Sean on. It should have just been you and him tonight for the duking. I mean, if you wanted a show where people are battling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought on the two nice guys.
We're the agreeable guys, Craig.
Yeah, all right. Well, look, I'm ready to mix it up right here because I'm about to give you the two most polarizing guys probably in Giants franchise history. So this has got to bring up some stuff, and I might have to jump in to just tell you you're wrong, depending on what way you go here. So I'm going to start off with the young guy because he's very opinionated on this topic. So we're playing. Welcome to Giants Rush here every Monday at 7:30, cranking out Giants content like crazy online. GiantsRush.com. We got the the YouTube channel. We're on Instagram, all that good stuff. Though I don't pay too much attention to it. I need to do a better job of that. We're playing Who is Better. It's the off season. We're having some fun. We're chilling in. Tell me, Spartan Mike, who is better, Tiki Barber or Saquon Barkley?
Who's better?
Who's better?
I mean, the best. It's odd. I mean, we could be looking at two late bloomers here. I don't really want to say Saquon because of what he's doing with the Eagles, but I think peak ability. It really pisses me off because Tiki left a legacy that's pure to the Giants. I think the pure talent.
Mark Thompson, by the way, throws in his 2 cents. Spartan, agreeable.
Just to anybody who said that I was, who tried to argue with me about Jones the last few years. Damn it. Tell you what, I'm actually going to roll with Tiki, and the reason being is because obviously Saquon just had a phenomenal year, but if you take away this past year with the Eagles, like what are we really looking at with him overall? The rookie year was terrific with us. Don't get me wrong, his abilities to break away and get those, 50-yard runs is unbelievable. But the consistency of the delivery there with Tiki was better in my opinion. And we did have, and this is probably a misuse with the Giants, but I actually think there was a lot of times where Saquon would bobble the ball, wouldn't pick up the blitzes. Like Tiki edged him out in a lot of categories during his tenure with the Giants. And yeah, Saquon went to the greatest offensive line, ever. But guess what? If Tiki was behind that offensive line with the Eagles right now, he'd be setting the same record. So I'm going to go Tiki.
Yeah. I get that. By the way, Grangier, you want to know where the other host is. So at Rush here, you have basically segued for me. We got a bunch of dudes. We got Spartan Mike, who's on a screen now. We got Chris, which is, I call him Nails, but he's Carb Crush. We got Chris. Of course, we got Joker, Sean. He's off tonight. But we also got Alex, and who had his second kid. So he's just been out of pocket. And then, of course, Grangier, who you're talking about, is Mike, which is the truth. Okay, Mike does a lot of the Wednesday stuff, does a lot of the draft stuff, does a lot of the pregame show stuff. But he was on 2 weeks ago, so if you might have missed him, he was on. We'll have him back again. Chris, kicking it over to you, my friend. What are you thinking, Tiki versus Saquon?
Listen, Barkley, special, but when you look at a career, Tiki Barber in pass protection, we haven't had a running back like Tiki take a screen pass the way he did. The way he would put his hand on the blockers in front of him and be patient to go downfield and let them make their blocks was beautiful to watch. I think he gets underappreciated on those running back screens. Pass protection, like I mentioned, he hit the hole hard. He had a little bit of fumble problem, but he's borderline Hall of Famer. If you could put Terrell Davis in the Hall of Fame, Tiki Barber's one year away from probably being a no-brainer in the Hall of Fame. He just fell short and probably should have played another year. But all-around player, probably the one of the top Giants of all time, in my opinion. You're gonna possibly put Tiki up there, maybe even top 6 or 7. He's in that top 7, I believe. Best running back ever that played with the Giants is Tiki Barber.
Yeah. Interesting, because you know what? He came in as a scat back from Virginia Tech. He got himself LASIK, and then next thing you know, the guy becomes the best.
He used to, and he became a strong back. There used to be a guy in Fairfield, New Jersey, Joe Carino, owned a gym. He was squatting and working out with him in the offseason, and that's when that power came. From doing the power cleans to squats,
what years
he became so much stronger. I'm sorry?
What years? So like in the early 2000s, right before
early 2000s. There was a big write up on him working with this Joe Carino power lifter gym owner, where just the power. It all changed from being a scat back to, I want to say, a power runner. But we saw Tiki break a lot of tackles, a lot of arm tackles he ran through. You had to bring him down, low. You couldn't bring him down up top.
He had great patience. Guy rushed for 1,800 yards. Yeah. Missed the rushing title by 20 yards from Sean Alexander. Yeah. No doubt, Tiki Barber. All right, how about this one? This one's I actually might just skip that one because I don't even know if that one's relevant. All right, this one's going to be a little bit tough because I'm trying to get you guys to mix it up a little bit. We do have, then again, Mark says that Spartan's not very agreeable, which I thought was pretty funny. Heck yeah, Jeff, I'm recognizing everybody. Been doing this a long time. We only do this for you peeps. It's not like I'm rolling in cash over here, big man. You guys make the show happen, so thanks for hanging out. All right, guys. How about this one? Spartan. I'm ready for a Duke to bust out here. Amani Toomer versus Plaxico Burress. All right, this is going to be a little bit tough, right? Because one comes in, wins you a Super Bowl, then blows his leg off and doesn't get you a second Super Bowl. And the other one is so underrated. It's incredible. I mean, this guy had like 1,000 yards receiving for years and years and years. Nobody gives Amani Toomer any credit. He's the most consistent wide receiver in Giants history. So, but I got to go. But I'm not asking about history, Spartan. I'm asking you who is better. I am literally saying I need to know who is better.
Yeah, so we're dealing with a Michigan State Spartan wide receiver and then a University of Michigan wide receiver. So I think it's pretty clear the direction I'm going to go here. What I am going to say is this. If you look online, there's the one surprising thing about Amani Toomer. He is the best Giants wide receiver that did not make, or not Giants wide receiver, wide receiver ever that didn't get a Pro Bowl nod. Go look back. He should have got one, especially in 2002. He didn't get one. I know, tough competition there in the NFC back then in the 2000s to try to get a Pro Bowl nod as a wide receiver, but, again, shortchanged. I think Plaxico at his peak was better than Toomer. Toomer did have a nice career overall. Early 2000s, solid wide receiver overall. But, I always felt like the challenge there with Toomer was, certainly in later years, was it felt like he was a very, 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 very good wide receiver 2 that needed to be complemented with a wide receiver 1. And we saw that when Plax went down. And we saw that that's the reason they brought in Plax in the first place, to be that wide receiver 1 to complement Amani Toomer. I think Plaxico during his peak seasons, 2005, 2007, 2008, up until his downfall, if you will, I just think Plaxico was that true wide receiver.
Chris, give it to me. Plaxico, Toomer.
All right, so let me just go on this little rant. Toomer, toe tapper, right? Getting those toes in inbounds. It was
before anyone
to
did
see. Yeah, beautiful to see Toomer do that. Great receiver, all-time leading Giant receiver. However, I don't know how many games when Toomer played, the defensive coordinator would have to account for Toomer as much as you would for Plaxico. I feel like Plaxico you had to pay more attention to, and that may allow your offense to do more things because Plaxico was more to be focused on. So I'm going to lean towards Plaxico. It opened up more for the rest of the team, and he was probably just more of a I'm going to say maybe a playmaker, but you had to count for Plaxico more than you did Toomer.
Dude, Plaxico made people look bad. You know what I mean? Like Toomer he's one of my favorite players.
Sure is.
Hands down. But Plaxico, he's 6'5", got a wingspan as big as a jumbo, 747. That dude just made you look bad. You know what I mean? You threw it low, he caught it. You threw it high, he caught it. You threw it left, he caught it. You threw it out of bounds, he caught it. You know what I mean? He just made you look bad. Never, as long as I live, will I ever forget Al Harris leaving the Eagles, taking a big old contract and going to Green Bay, and everybody raving, Al Harris is all pro. He's gone Pro Bowl, blah, 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 blah. Plaxico made him look like the third stringer on Coastal Carolina. I mean, it was like, Al Harris, who? Plaxico Burress was special, dude. Even though he had his thing and his issues, and we've told the story many times about how and why he brought a gun to the nightclub because of the whole Steve Smith thing that happened the week before with the driver. But the dude was definitely special. All right, that was easy. You're right. You're right, Mark B. I am trying to mix it up a little bit. But the boys are cooking. All right, how about let me try this one? Let's go a little new school, old school, Chris. How about you give me Tyrone Tracy, who's just, he's just scratching the surface on what he can do. Let's measure him up against Ahmad Bradshaw, who was basically always your third back to Brandon Jacobs and then Derek Ward, but the cat was still special and crazy, like running on the side of his feet, doing all sorts, playing through pain. Dude was a warrior. Who's better though? Tyrone Tracy or Ahmad Bradshaw? Who do you think is just a better talent?
Well, right now, talking better, you're talking about a guy that was a receiver just a couple of years ago, and now he's a running back, and he looks awesome. And I think the career could be fantastic. However, when you look at Ahmad Bradshaw, putting his head down, putting his shoulder down, putting his foot in the ground, making that one cut that we always, that was notorious with Bradshaw, and just running you over.
Jump cut.
Yeah. I mean, listen, maybe Scatterboo's going to be that type of guy, but that's what Giant fans love. And you know what? Bradshaw was a tough runner, and he just abused his body doing it. Not a big guy either, but he played big. Got to go with Bradshaw.
7th round draft pick out of
Marshall. Now, just remember, he had some off the field issues. He probably would have went a lot earlier. Thankfully, the Giants actually drafted somebody with some off field issues, because usually that doesn't happen, but they waited till the 7th round. So they made a great choice there to pick him up. And I'm surprised the Cowboys didn't take him up. They're notorious for taking running backs with bad, or players with bad off the field issues. So it's amazing how he lasted the 7th round.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark Thompson knows what his projection was. I'm not even sure. Maybe he was like going to be a 3rd rounder, but
I don't know. and Mark may know because Mark is like an encyclopedia for football. But I'm glad the Giants got him because, like, I will never forget. I was in a sports bar called the Grog and Grill watching the Giants play Buffalo in that snow game, and when he broke that long touchdown, I was like, "Who is this dude?"
Yep.
I'm like this cat.
We were down what 14 points, and we needed to win that game to secure the playoffs.
Yes.
Man,
In
beautiful.
the snow, pounding snow in Buffalo.
And I'm jumping up and down. I'm in prime time Eagles country. And I'm like, that dude is a 7th round draft pick. I'm killing people. And they're like, come on, you knew that cat was good. I'm like, I didn't even know that cat's name until he just scored a touchdown. So, man, Bradshaw made everybody, love it because of his tenacity. How about you, Spartan? You got anything on this?
Look, I hope in 10 years isn't against Bradshaw. I hope Tracy does make us say his name in several years. But until then, I got to go Bradshaw because, he wasn't just like a specialty back. I mean, he was a starting back in the 2011 Super Bowl, and he was a great compliment to Jacobs. And having those two during that tenure was special. So right now, I got to go with Bradshaw.
All right, then I'm going to double down on you, Spartan Mike. How about David Deal, who was like the ultimate warrior for the Giants, played guard, played tackle, might even have played center for a couple plays, versus Illuminor, who walks in and almost makes the Giants line look decent, like comes in and like almost like rescues them, like just buys in, embraces New York. Who's a better player? Because Illuminor and Deal aren't known to be like these knockdown, like elite athletes, like when you talk about like Joe Thomas or some of these elite left tackles. Deal nor Illuminor are known to be elite.
Deal did make he made a Pro Bowl and he made an All-Pro, and I'd argue that he was relatively underrated for his time. So I'm going to give some accolades here. I'm going to give a big compliment to Illuminor. He came into an offensive line that was desperate, gave up 85 sacks, and was a real helping hand in solidifying that offensive line. And he was only supposed to be brought in as a swing tackle, but he went out there and executed his job. Did he have a peak with us or anybody else to the amount that David Deal did? No. And so that brings me to my next point. We've had David Deal on the show. He came out as an effective 11-year player for the New York Giants that could reach the Pro Bowl level, could reach the All-Pro level, play with an attitude. So I'm going to leave him there at that level for now. But I, again, really hope Illuminor during his time here continues to be a great player for the Giants.
How about you, Chris? What do you got?
I think Illuminor, we still have to he just got to the Giants last year, so we love what we saw from him. Yeah.
Forget it. Who's the better player?
The better player at this point, when you look at the full body of work, you got to go with David Deal at this point.
Yeah. See, I'm almost like I said, like I might think Illuminor might be the better athlete.
Whoa.
I'm listening, and I love David Deal, but I think Illuminor might turn out to be a better athlete than him. I don't know if I'm willing to say he's a better player. Illuminor is super athletic for a big dude, right?
Yeah, I could see
play
that.
Guard and tackle. And then, of course, his attitude makes me really like Illuminor. Like I don't know, he just loves being here, so it makes you kind of man crush on him and be like, man, I love this dude. But I think Illuminor's honestly think he's the better athlete. I think Deal is just the better player.
Yeah.
But again, I think they're really super close. That's why I put them together. So could go either way. All right. Let's do this one because I know what you guys are going to do. Who's the better player? All right. And this one's I know this one's got people are going to laugh in my face, but I don't think they know this player good enough. Who's better? Dexter Lawrence, Spartan Mike, or Keith Hamilton, the Hammer?
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence, because he's got a really good shot right now of making the Hall of Fame. Keith Hamilton's a very phenomenal player, very talented. But this is probably the first modern versus old school dude. I got to go with the new guy just because we're dealing with the best defensive tackle in the league right now.
I like that. I do like that. Chris, Keith Hamilton had 63 sacks, on some really special defenses, right? Pepper Johnson's on that. that team. You might had a Carl, might still have been there. You had some boys playing with
Yeah.
Keith
Yep.
Hamilton. And he was 63 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sacks, man. Dude was an unbelievable run stopper. Who's better?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Keith Hamilton had a nice career at the Giants, very good. But when you talk about Dexter, you're talking about he could be on that Aaron Donald level when it's all said and done. Right now, he's very close to Aaron Donald.
I like it.
Great run stopper. That's what you expected from Dexter when he came to the Giants out of Clemson, and that's what he was. But nobody expected him to have this pass rush and taking on two blockers. I don't know if Keith Hamilton had to deal with a lot of that. Well, I think he did actually, because of the linebackers, they had to take on double blockers. But Dexter just league wide is known as the best at this point. I think he's number one. So you got to go with Dexter.
I got in a heated debate last week at my son's lacrosse tournament over Dexter Lawrence versus their guy Jalen Carter. Is it?
Yep.
I don't even want to hear it.
And I was like, dude, do you realize like this dude was leading the league in sacks halfway through the year at defensive tackle? I'm like, I'm like, Jalen Carter, good. And he's got some comparable stats. But the major difference that I don't think people get about Dexter Lawrence is he's on a bad team.
He's been doing it for a long time already. Carter's been in the league for a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You're on the field the entire game because you're on a bad team and your offense is 3 and out all the time.
Good point. Yeah.
Hamilton, he's off the field because they had good defenses to get off the field, right? Dexter's on the field for like 70 snaps a game at 340 pounds. He's just freakishly athletic, and there's no one in the game that smiles and loves what he does more than that dude, right? He makes you like him because of the way he carries himself and what he does.
Could you imagine if he got the full 16 games last year? Because I mean, he could have had damn near 20 sacks as a freaking nose tackle, and it is really rare for those guys to get sacks. Period.
Yeah, even you know what, Spartan. I hear where you're going. 20 is really tough because people start doubling you down and you get wear down during the season. But I do agree with you. He could have pulled off between 14 and 16. 20 would be just crazy.
Hey, he was projected the way he was going. It was going to be the closest any nose tackle ever.
Yeah, 100%.
And Craig, to your point, listen, the Eagles beat up on a lot of teams. At that point in the fourth quarter, when they're up by a few scores, they pin their ears back and they go after the quarterback. There's no need to worry about the running game. Giant games, they're all close if they're going to win. No, Giants aren't blowing out anybody with big leads. So he's got to be able to play the run just as effective as rushing the passer because these games are tight.
I believe it. Chris, Pepper Johnson, Bobby Okereke. Who is better?
Wow. Pepper Johnson was a hell of a
player. Who's better?
This might shock everybody. As a player, if you're talking two linebackers, Bobby Okereke can cover and is more athletic than Pepper Johnson, who's that old school middle linebacker that wasn't a guy you want in pass coverage. As a better player, I am going to go with Bobby Okereke as a better player.
All right. I will say
I'm
a big Bobby. I am a huge Bobby O fan. I'm a huge big Fadden fan. Pepper Johnson was that dude, like, he was crazy. I mean,
I know it's tough. It's tough.
You'd get Pepper Johnson wound up. He'd be running all over the field.
Yeah.
In those shoulder pads that were so big, you would stuff a Volkswagen underneath them. I mean, I don't think I ever saw a linebacker with bigger pads in my life than Pepper Johnson. Spartan, help me out here, man. Help me out.
I would go with Pepper Johnson because I actually do get what you're saying, Chris. You brought up a really good point there with the dynamic abilities of Okereke. He did have a phenomenal first couple years with the Giants. Hopefully he gets back to it. Pepper Johnson, though, was so good at the things that he was good at that I'm gonna give the nod to him. And he did make All-Pro, Pro Bowl, Pepper Johnson left behind too much of a legacy, but I'll give Okereke some time because we'd love it if he balls out to the level that he did already. And it could very well say that he's better all in at the end of the day.
I just want to say, in today's NFL, the way both the 80s and the way the game's played now, I think Bobby Okereke is more of an effective linebacker than Pepper would have been. But that's really where I'm going at. But, yeah, it is tough. It is tough.
Fair enough. Listen, I like it because, again, like if Okereke is healthy and this cat's racking up 100-yard seasons and stuff, he might be the better career. I think Pepper Johnson is the better player because Pepper Johnson to me was a guy who like Osi was or JPP was. When you needed to play, Pepper Johnson made a play. Like he just was because he was ruthless. Like Bobby's just really good for a modern day linebacker because he does a lot of things well. But Okereke would make you eat your shorts, dude. He'd come in there and ruin you. And then the next thing you know, he'd knock a ball down going to the tight end. Next thing you know, he'd be halfway across the field making I don't know.
No, you're right.
I think the better player is Pepper Johnson. All right. How about this one? This one's going to upset the apple cart because what I'm about to say, absolutely no one's going to like. But I'm used to that. And why? I mean, it's very easy why I can say what I'm about to say.
It's good to be the king.
Exactly. So I can say what I want to say. So I'm gonna hand deliver this to you, Chris. Who is a better player? Mark Bavaro or Jeremy Shockey? I hear Mike typing away.
Curious to see what the pundits say about this one, to be honest with you, because this is a hard one.
This is a hard one.
Not going to affect my opinion.
Man.
Who is the better player, Chris? Come on, spit it out.
So we're not saying better career.
I said better player, damn it.
Yep, better player.
Hey, hang on.
Better.
This will remind you. Look, it's in big letters. Who is better?
If we're talking a better, but I love Bavaro, love him, but he didn't have the speed. He wasn't as dynamic as Shockey. If you put if they're in their prime, both of them, and you have to choose one, and you're watching videotape of each one, which one you're going to take? I'm probably going to go Shockey. And it's a tough call. Just more dynamic. Tough call.
Yep. No, you are right. Jeremy Shockey. We love Bavaro for just being Rambo. Jeremy Shockey was a better player. Go ahead, Spartan. What you got?
It was a different era, though. I'm actually going to go with Bavaro. It was a different era in the 80s back then, and Bavaro was so dominant, perhaps the best tight end during that stretch. And he played with such a tenacity. Like, I actually think a similar player to today is actually Kittle to some degree. If you watch Kittle, his athleticism is actually a little bit limited, but his ability to make things happen, though, is pretty phenomenal. I actually think Bavaro would be pretty comparable, and he played so pissed off, and with such demeanor that single-handedly made him such a better player. Whereas sometimes I don't really always trust that Shockey's head was in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I used to have one major issue with Shockey, and everybody forgets it now, right? Because it's later on. But Shockey would always tend to drop the easy pass. And then he'd go make some crazy sick pass that he shouldn't catch. You know what I mean? Like ripping a ball out of Brian Dawkins' hands in the end zone, right? Like he would do that kind of stuff. I think the better player was Shockey. He was a superb blocker. He could downfield block. He could block, push in the end, catch the ball short. What was great about him? The speed at 6'6". He'd be better than Kelsey. He'd have more yak. His biggest issue was Hurts. Bavaro was a vicious blocker, no doubt about it. I just think the better player was Jeremy Shockey. Downfield, he could out jumped Brian Dawkins, Hall of Fame safety, out jumped him in the end zone, ran over, he almost killed that guy from the Houston Texans. I thought he was dead, or was it the Colts?
No,
I think it was the
Texans.
Texans.
Preseason game.
He ran that dude over. I thought he was dead. I'd never seen anybody get hit like that.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm leaning on the better player with Shockey. I know that's probably sacrilegious to a lot of you. All right, I'm still moving. Oh wait, Mark, here look. Mark says Parcells told Sims Bavaro is always open, throw him the ball. I believe that too. I believe that too because he just would just slip in that seam route and he'd be wide open. All right, I got a couple more for you. We're wrapping this part of it up. This one's probably choice of flavor. Chris, Joe Morris, Rodney Hampton.
Joe Morris, hell of a running back. Played so big at such a small stature. But I'm going to go Rodney Hampton just did a lot more things than Joe, although Joe was great. I'm going to go Rodney Hampton.
Flying high, Rodney Hampton from the Georgia Bulldog. And he played on some absolutely crappy with a capital C, crappy New York Giants team. Like, we think we got it bad now. It was pretty damn bad. When Rodney played, he didn't have crap. Joe played on a lot of good teams, though. He was a great running back. He really was.
Yeah.
Deceptively fast. Could never bring him down. Couldn't find him. I'm a Hampton guy too. But Spartan, you may feel different because there's a lot of tradition built in with Joe Morris.
Going to go with Hampton just because of say we're looking at two guys with Pro Bowl level seasons, but Hampton carried that offense and was a pretty special player overall. Morris, a little less consistent.
Fair enough. All right, this one's going to be how do we know? He only played 1 year. Throwing it out there anyway. It's probably a no-brainer. Who's better, McKinney or Newman? Chris.
Who's better right now? You got to go McKinney.
Spartan.
McKinney.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Because we haven't really seen what Newman can do. But I would like Newman to have a big bounce back year because McKinney had a nice Giants year in a career and then went to Green Bay and had an All-Pro year. So maybe Newman could do something like that. Currently, I got to go McKinney. All right, how about this one? I like this one a lot, and this is gonna hurt you, Spartan, because you're a young dude. But who's better, Spartan? Ike Hilliard or Darius Slayton?
Ike Hilliard was a better player.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, he just had a little bit more of a balanced run. I mean, Slayton, it's like he's had a couple nice seasons, but Ike Hilliard just overall had better seasons, more reliable player, more dependable. Obviously, he played with better quarterback than Slayton did with Jones, but still, I think overall Ike Hilliard's a better player.
Ike Hilliard was fun to watch, dude. He would get that ball over the middle.
Gumby.
He was
right. He was like Gumby.
He was, man. He would just shake and bake you, bend all different ways. Chris, what do you think? Ike Hilliard, Slayton?
Slayton was more consistent. I would go Slayton, but looking back at Hilliard, he was just more of a consistent receiver. I'm going to go Ike Hilliard as well.
Me too, man. Ike was
consistency. That's the difference.
Ike was fun to watch. How about this one? Just because we're having fun. Jason Sehorn or Tay Banks? Who's a better player? Chris.
I think right now you got to go Jason Sehorn. We all remember that Super Bowl, him picking up his pants, chasing down the receiver. But when you look at his career before that knee injury, or even a little bit even after it, I mean, I just feel like he's a better player at this point than what Tay Banks has shown. That could change. Right now, it's Sehorn.
Tay hasn't showed me much. I'm going to have to go with Sehorn, and that's not even really close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sehorn was a damn good corner, right? It was just a damn good corner.
Another injury. I mean, yeah, you wonder how many of these Giants players would have been Hall of Famers if it wasn't for these injuries. I mean, it's such a constant theme.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Guys played hurt a lot more, too. They didn't get shut down like they do now, Spartan. We had this conversation. Like, some guys just get shut down early on. So,
right. Well, especially now because the Giants are so bad, they generally opt to take it, sit out the season if they can. Like, if they get to a point where it's like, yeah, you could come back. It's like, no, never mind, pass.
Well, that's that. I'm wrapping that up right there. That was just a little bit of fun on who's better. We could do this again.
Yeah, you got to do one more, Craig. I got one more for you. You have to do, and we have
Jones, Eli, Jones, Sims.
Eli Sims.
See that one? Like the better player. Like I don't know who's a better player.
Hold on, everybody in the comments section going off here because this is controversial. It's tough. A lot of legacy, a lot of heart on the line here.
I mean, I would have to think that Eli wins better player because he did. I mean, he did much. He did more.
Yeah.
You know, he just did more. Like Sims got hurt early, and then he had to fight back and play, and then he got his career handed to Hostetler. And Sims was a good player. I think Eli was a better player because I think he made more with less.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm going to say that here's my thing with Eli, because I remember early on the debates were already starting after that first Super Bowl, a couple more years in. Someone had a good point. After that 49ers game where Eli proved his toughness to a degree of no other, like that's when a lot of people will say he overtook Sims with the all-time legacy. Eli, on his best day, would just throw unbelievable balls. Remember, he had no mobility, so on a great day, his passing game was really phenomenal when we look back. Here's the difference, though. I will say this. Eli's bad days were monumentally horrendous. Vikings 2007. I
Don't even bring it up.
Guys, you correct me if I'm
I never
wrong,
saw
because I didn't watch Sims. I mean, were his bad days nearly as bad as those days? I don't think so, right?
No.
Sims would stink it up, but he wouldn't throw 5 interceptions in a game and 2 of them return. Like he didn't make. Like he made mistakes, but he didn't make the same mistake over and over and over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There were days we lost because of Eli.
Yeah. But I think the better, I don't know, Chris, help me out here.
Yeah, I mean,
Who's
it's
the
tough. I don't know if Sims had that defense, had that great running game as well. But that when you look at that 2011 season, how Eli carried that whole season.
Yeah.
I was on his back. And he was a great deep ball thrower, and Sims was accurate too. But in a league that was different, as a better player, pure passer, I may be leaning towards Eli.
And I think Sims got to hold on to the ball for like 5 seconds, where these cats now they're on you in 2.5 seconds. I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, I love Sims. Love Sims. His best completion percentage ever was in 1993 at 61%. In a year when the Giants won in 86, his completion percentage was 55%. And he had a great year. Great year.
They didn't throw
different
the ball
league.
very
Different
much,
league.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Different league. It's just not the same as it is now. Now he had great seasons. Great seasons. But
here's the
just
question.
a different league.
If you put Sims on the Giants 2007, 2011, do you win 2 Super Bowls with Sims? See, I agree you do. I think you do.
I do too. I do too. Especially 2007 because the defense was lights out at the end of the season. But
I tell you what, though, 2011 depended
2011,
so
tough
on
call in
Eli,
2011.
though. 07, I agree with you. Sims could do it next year. It could have been better.
Mark always brings up good points, and he is right. I mean, in the biggest game possible on the planet, he goes 22 of 25, and I'm pretty sure he still holds that Super Bowl completion record. I mean, again, that's a tough one if we're just talking about player, like who's the better player.
I mean, listen, we love Sims in a different league. The most touchdown passes he threw in a season was 22. And that was a different league. No knock against Sims. It was just a different league.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that leads me to believe Eli was a better player because he had to do more in a totally different league.
Yeah, it's just different.
All right.
Man.
Well, let's transition over before we run out of time. Guys, want to talk real quick about what's in the news right now. Thanks for hanging out, by the way. I see a bunch of you guys have popped in late. Elliot joined a little bit late. Granzier, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Again, we're here every single Monday, 7:30. We got some stuff cooking for the off season and new season. Okay, let's do some housekeeping. Fantasy football hosted by that guy. Spartan Mike is out there killing most of the competitors in fantasy football. It will be year 3 coming up. Year 1, we gave away an autographed Amani Toomer jersey. Last year, we gave away an autographed Hakeem Nicks jersey. So there will be another autographed jersey up for winning. And we're going to kick those out pretty soon. If you have an interest in playing in the Fantasy Football League, it's called the Rush Fantasy Football League, hosted by Spartan Mike. Just shoot him a note. Just DM him, follow him, shoot him down. Now, this year, we were close last year to having 2 leagues. Okay, we were going to do a free league and a pay league, right? Or we can do a low fee league and a higher fee league.
We're having one league, you cheap bastards.
Yeah, we're still working on that. We got 14 teams in one league. If we get 28 of you guys, because last year we came in like with an odd number, so we had to scale back to one league. If we get enough of you guys, we'll have 2 leagues. I'll let Joker Sean host one league, Spartan hold one league. But you got to pound Spartan because he won the first year basically. We had to choose the runner up, and then last year he almost won it again. So we need you guys to come in strong. If you have an interest in playing, just send him a DM, and then he'll send it to me, and I'll put you on the list. And the invites are going to go out fairly soon, and then you guys can register, and then off we're running. We have a little bit of time. So if you're interested in fantasy football, but have some fun with the guys, you can talk smack on Twitter and so forth, who wins and so forth. Secondly, we got a bunch of interviews I'm working on with Jordan Renaud from ESPN. Of course, Dunleavy, who we have on all the time, and all that stuff is in the works. And then there's some other big things that are happening behind the scenes that we're working on too. Guys, news is JPP. Let's just make this real simple. I think he's washed. It's done. It's old. We don't need him. Why are we going after these old heads? And I usually like that these guys, come back to their old team, but not sure he can contribute at this point. Mm-hmm. Chris, what's your thoughts on the Giants bringing back JPP? And is this like fan related, or is there anything official?
Well, leave it to the media to just ask the question. However, it came up that JPP would love to come back to the Giants. Who wouldn't, right? You see all these ex-Giants love to come back to the Giants because it is like a family from what we have been told, the way they're treated. What I would do with JPP, I'm going to go through training camp with my squad and the players I have. After week 1, no contracts are guaranteed. If there's an injury, you want a short list, you bring him in on tryout Tuesday, you give him a workout, you put him on your short list, and if you think he can contribute at some point down the field, down the line with an injury, then maybe it's worth bringing him in. But he has to earn a spot after week 1, no guaranteed contract if he were to earn a spot because of an injury and there's a spot available. That's the only way I bring him in. But give him a workout. If he really wants it, just give him a workout and let's see where he's at and just put him on the short list. You don't have to sign him. Give him a workout.
I'm cool with that. That seems to be the path of least resistance. Spartan, what's your thoughts on JPP?
You know what? Hey, listen, if there's one position I'm not really worried about this year, it's the pass rush. So I actually don't really care to bring him in, let his legacy sit, because I don't think he's going to contribute much, and there's nothing that's going to be sadder if he goes out there and plays pathetic football to put a cherry on top of his legacy that he already has with the Giants.
Yeah, that's a little true. He does have a really good reputation, when he was here. I'm guessing if he came in just like crazy great shape, but I mean, he's been in the league for 14 years. I don't know what he would bring to the table.
Drafted the same year as Brandon Graham on the Eagles, and I think Graham just retired, right? Is he playing this year, Brandon Graham with the Eagles?
I do not think so.
Or is this all right? So he might have just retired then. He might have just called it quits.
Mark does have a point here, but I don't think can he beat out Timon Fox? I'm sure he can, but do we even need Fox on the team either? You know what I mean? Is he going to get replaced? Yeah. JPP drafted 2010.
And I don't want JPP covering anybody. I want him just in a pass rush situation, hand in the dirt, rush the passer, situational. That's what you're using him. Yeah. If he were to make the team at some point.
I just don't see it. Go give me a young body. To Mark's point, can he beat out Fox? Yeah, he probably can, because he just has such experience rushing the passer, but that doesn't mean it's right.
It got to be injuries. That's the only way he gets in our shot. If the Giants get hit with a bunch of injuries and they're reaching for guys on the street to bring in, we see it all the time. Hey, I'll bring you a guy years ago. Did we all laugh and Mike, you're a little too young, maybe. Craig and some of the old timers. Do you remember when the Giants, absolute garbage, they brought Herman Moore in? He was there for 2 weeks. Do you remember Herman Moore?
Oh my God, the Lions,
ex-Lion, totally washed, done. And it was that desperate. We had to bring Herman Moore in for
it was worse. It was worse than like Galladay. I mean,
There's a
it was-
trivia question, everybody. Did Herman Moore ever play for the Giants? Yes, he did for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, it was terrible.
I don't even know who that is. I had to look him up.
Before
No,
there was
it was-
Calvin Johnson, right, Craig? I would think Herman Moore was probably one of their best receivers before Johnson came along.
Yeah, Herman
All
Moore
time.
could play. He just
He was
his
all
leg
pro.
was shot.
All
He had
pro.
nothing left.
Yeah, check out the highlights. All pro. Very, very good receiver back in the
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah,
Early 90s, too. 90s.
I don't need any more
Right.
washed up guys playing on legacy. I want
Yeah,
to win
yeah,
games.
I
I
know.
want to go to the playoffs. I want to build this team. So, like, hey, look, if you don't know, if you live under a rock, Waller wants to play ball again, and Waller's going to get traded to the Dolphins. The Giants are going to get compensation for him. Let him go. He's washed. His rap career didn't work out, so now he needs to come back to football. What I don't like, but in case you're under a rock and you don't know that, just doing some housekeeping. What I don't like is Bellinger got snubbed in development because they brought Waller in, and then Waller got hurt, and Waller wasn't ready to play in the beginning of the season, and then he made some plays, and then he quit. And like hey, what's up, Drew? I just don't like the whole Waller thing. I'm super excited. Giants are going to get some compensation for him. He's Waller, JPP. They're all toast. Camps this year. Yeah, I'll probably meet Chris at camp. Mark, we're probably we'll do something, right, Chris?
Yeah, try to schedule that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do something like that. We're working
And
on.
by the way, Craig and Mike, I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, the camp tickets go on sale for anybody that's going to training camp. I believe it's tomorrow they go on sale, or sometime this
Noted.
week. So just check the website.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, Granzier, I think it was Granzier, 100%. Like any compensation you get for Waller, stellar, because he wasn't playing for you.
Yeah.
And like I said, Giants had Bellinger, and then Bellinger had to take a back seat because Waller came in with do right. We get it. Then he started the season off hurt. They did the same thing with Randolph the year before. Like they wouldn't let Bellinger develop. And then he gets hurt. Then he retires. Like any compensation Granzier that we get for Waller, which there will be some, is great. It is just fantastic because nothing against Waller. I hope he's clean and I hope he's doing what he has to do. But I'm a little upset the way it went down. Mark B, definitely meet up with you, dude. We'll definitely do something. Maybe we'll do something in the parking lot or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure out something. I've got some meetings later this week that could develop into something really big and super cool, but I can't tell you what. But I'm teasing you that there'll be, if this goes through on Friday night, there'll be some pretty big announcements. But in the meantime, yes, Mark, we will hang out and have a beer, or we'll chat up without a doubt. Granzier, I don't know if the compensation was announced yet for Waller.
I think it's a conditional. I think it was a. I thought it was it a sixth and then a conditional seventh or a conditional fifth? I believe it was a seventh and a conditional another one, or vice versa.
Okay.
So yeah, just check that out. But two with the conditional, with one was conditional. Yeah.
Well, look, we're going to jam. We've been on a little bit long. That's Spartan Mike. Follow him. Hit him up if you want to play fantasy football, or if you got fantasy football people in your family. I don't know what the grand prize is this year. If I get 2 leagues, it'll be 2 prizes. If it's 1 league, it'll be 1 prize. But I always step up and get something cool. And then, of course, yes, me and Chris will head out to camp so we guys hook you guys up there, and I can bring some Rush gear and hand some stuff out. So we'll definitely do that. Again, hit the YouTube channel up. We really appreciate that. We're on Twitter. Follow my guys, Alex, Truth, Spartan, Joker's usually here with us. And we're going to see you guys next week. And we'll get a preview showing before preseason going. Spartan and Truth always do a preview show. So we'll get that going too. And stay tuned, because there could be a very large, unbelievable announcement coming from Rush. So I'm just teasing it now. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just say I was full of shit.
We'll never mention it again. If it doesn't work out, we'll never mention it.
Never
again.
mention it again. Just pretend it never happened.
Bang. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're out.
Peace.
Guys.
Peace. I'm going to end it with this because someone said this was their favorite. So I'm going to, maybe with Spartan, Mike. I'm going to run this for you to end the show.